Hello, welcome to the Humor and Chaos podcast. I'm Sarah Howard Nelson. I'm a certified life coach and certified art therapy practitioner. Those are a lot of words to roll off my tongue. And I'm looking at the screen here of the teddy bear that I'm holding. And this is for blog post number 2, where I talk a little bit more about joy itself. And this is the teddy bear from the photo at the beginning of that blog post. It's so soft, and I bought it for when my third grandchild was born, and it's got the crinkly ears, and it's super soft and it's cuddly. And I use the teddy bear as an analogy for joy for a particular reason. And it's why I'm able to say that joy is something that you can hold and have even in the most difficult of circumstances. And the reason that is because with any pain or any trauma or anything in that realm, there's at least some degree of grief, if not all-encompassing grief. And so a lot of people believe that grief and joy cannot coexist, when in fact the best way to deal with grief is to embrace it with joy. And how do we do that? How do we embrace grief with joy? Because that sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? And I figured that out when I was listening to a lot of other people tell their unwanted divorce stories and their stories of betrayal that they were going through, same as me, right along with me. And I was deep in my own grief. And I was reading, books on grief and books on faith and books on personal growth and all kinds of books. And I'm far from the first person to say this. A lot of people have said this in different ways, from different walks of life, different spiritual walks, different religious backgrounds. The first one I could find was some psychiatrist in Britain that apparently Queen Elizabeth II had quoted or something like that. But I like to say it this way. And that is grief, the depth of the grief is a direct measure of the depth of the love. And when I realized that, I was able to embrace my grief because I was so incredibly brokenhearted. My grief was making a statement to myself of how deeply I'm capable of loving and did love. And it wasn't the love that I was losing. It was the dream of where I thought that life was going to take me based on that love. And now it's not going to take me there. And I had to accept that. But I could accept it under the fact that I loved well. I loved to the best of my capacity, not compared to somebody else's ability to love, but my own capacity, my own ability, because we each have our own ability. And I had to accept that too. I had to accept that my ex-husband did not have the same capacity and the same ability that I had. But I could appreciate it inside myself. And I could use it as a tool to deal with it. And I could do it in joy, even though I was still deep in grief. And knowing that that's okay makes it okay to grieve. One of the biggest mistakes that we make when we try to help somebody get over their grief is exactly that, trying to help someone get over their grief, and not have it anymore. You can't do that. It's not right. It's true that everyone grieves in their own way, based on their capacity and their ability to do so, based on their capacity and their ability to love and acknowledge that love and accept it. And it doesn't have to be, just love of divorce. That's what I'm talking about now. But it can be love of the grief from losing someone who's passed on, or even losing somebody who hasn't passed on but has walked out of your life. Even if it was your choice to walk out of their life, there's still a grief there. The grief that comes with chronic illness, when the life that you were living, you can't live now. You either have to put it on hold or you have to completely, entirely change course. There's grief with that. There's all kinds of different ways to grieve. And it's wrong to impose our own version of grief onto somebody else. So how do we help somebody as they're going through their grief? We honor it. And how do we honor it? I can't remember the culture, and I should have looked it up before I came on here. And because I'm still bad with tech, I'm not going to pause this to look it up. But I do remember when I was studying archaeology, anthropology. Archaeology is a part of anthropology. So when I was studying anthropology, and I've heard it since then too, somebody had talked about it on a podcast. There was a group of people, I want to say it was either Africa or South America. And when someone is grieving, other people go into their home, their hut, their tent, whatever they're living in, it's their home. Other people would take turns going into their home and just sit with them quietly. Just to sit and listen and not judge and not dictate and not try to tell somebody how they should handle it or how they should feel better or anything. Just sit there. And shortly before D-Day, my discovery day of what was happening behind my back in my marriage, my best friend from my entire life, since we were 4 years old, went through the exact same thing, almost to the letter. And not knowing what was happening in my own life, I went to her home. And I didn't even really at the time, A, didn't know what I was going through myself, and B, didn't know how I was going to handle this. I instinctually did this where I went to her home, laid on her couch because my back was really bad at the time. I was waiting for my back surgery. It was scheduled, but I was waiting, and I was also waiting for the birth of my grandson, which probably helped me with sitting there and not going through too much of my own grief at that time. In that moment, I was really focused on her. And I just stayed there. I just tried to stay in her presence. And I know there were times I did irritate her, but for the most part, she was glad I was there. And I didn't go there to relieve her of her grief. I went there so that she wouldn't be alone in her grief. And the only thing I made her do was periodically, I made her eat some food. I didn't make her clear her plate. She didn't want to eat. And neither did I when I was going through that. I just made her eat a few bites just to get some nourishment, and that's it. You know, when someone is going through grief, there are things that they need to do, and they're the only ones who know what it is they need to do. And they may not know right away, they may have to figure it out. And so to honor that grief that they're going through is the best thing to do. You know, oh, I'm feeling it right now. It's great. And this is how joy is the teddy bear you can hold while you're going through challenges and after you're going through challenges. Because I'm doing really good today. Today's a really great day. And yet there's still this continuous level of grief in the background that likes to come to the surface when I do something like this, like hold one of my grandchildren, hold one of my children, hug a friend, hold this teddy bear. So you'd think I'd be sad, but I'm not sad. It feels good. It feels really good. And some people might think this is weakness. This is actually strength. This is joyful grief in strength. And this builds resilience. Resilience, you think of resilience, and there are aspects to resilience of perseverance and strength and fortitude, and that's all true. But it's also loving yourself, patience with yourself, honoring your own grief, honoring your own life, honoring the knowledge that, yeah, maybe you can do better, but up to this point, you've been doing the best that you can. And that is enough. And that's how you can have the comfort of joy, regardless of the circumstances. So thank you for joining me in this episode. I'm Sarah, Humor in Chaos. If you would like to be on this podcast, email me at humorinchaos@gmail.com. You can find me at my website, www.humorinchaos.com. And what else did I need to say? Remember that I am a certified life therapist and certified art therapy practitioner. I'm a certified life coach, not a therapist. I am not a licensed therapist. I am not a licensed counselor. I am not a licensed psychologist, but I've been on the journey and I got through it. I'm getting through it, and you can too. Have a wonderful day.